We've all heard this story before, but the Backrooms originated as a short creepypasta on the export of 4chan back in 2019. It was a very simple but effective idea. The idea that one day you could just suddenly fall through reality and end up in an endless land of empty rooms and buzzing lights. It's a scary concept, right? Like a lot of these short internet horror ideas, it's kind of meant to make you think, what would I do if that happened to me? And usually the only answer you can come up with is die. A lot of people tend to forget this, but the original post does imply that there is something in there with you. It says, God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. That original post pretty much spawned the entire genre of liminal horror, which for a long time was just people posting low quality pictures of kind of weird, dream-like spaces and being like, wouldn't it be creepy if you were stuck here? But yeah, it would be creepy. The whole idea is that you're alone in this empty, strange, unknown space, or at least you think you're alone in there. That's what the Backrooms was for a while, but now in 2026 it's evolved a lot since then. I genuinely do think that a lot of that can be attributed to Kane Parsons, whose YouTube series made the Backrooms way more popular than it was before. And now, of course, his movie, which made over 300 million at the box office.
I am a fucking architect!
It's insane to see how much this creepypasta has evolved. I genuinely don't think we've ever seen something like this before. Like Slenderman and Jeff the Killer were super popular on the internet back in the day, but neither ever came close to a $300 million movie. Side note, I'd say the movie is like a 7 out of 10. The first 2/3 are really great and everything I would have wanted out of a Backrooms movie, but I think it kind of falls off in the last third. We're not talking about the movie here, though. At the end of the day, the Backrooms isn't really one thing, but I think you can separate Backrooms content into 3 categories. Firstly, for old heads like me, you have the liminal horror, where what makes the Backrooms scary is more about what isn't there rather than what is. When you think about some kind of entity being with you in the backrooms, it's terrifying to think that there's something there watching you, and you can kind of feel that feeling of being watched, but you can't find what it actually is. That's really what liminal horror is. It's more about the location itself and the feeling you get from being there than it is about what is in there with you or what the location actually is. Then you have the backrooms that Kane used for his series and movie. This is the backrooms where people are actively going into it to explore and catalog the backrooms. In the movie, you have this company that's doing that, and while it's clear they don't understand the backrooms fully, you get the feeling that there is some kind of explanation to be found. This is really kind of backrooms content where you have monsters in it, and I will say I don't hate this kind of content. I do prefer the old head version, but I think this kind of horror still works because the backrooms is genuinely a great setting to be chased around in by monsters. Then you have the third type, which is like a level beyond the previous type. This is where there are distinct backrooms levels that have been fully explored and cataloged, and they each have their own entities which you need to do very specific things to avoid. Like, on level 14, you will meet a clown. You must let this clown kiss you on the lips. Then you must not lick or clean your lips until you reach level 23, where you will meet another clown. You must kiss this clown on the lips with the residue of the previous clown still there, and if you do not do this exact thing, you will die. That's kind of backrooms content I'm not a huge fan of, but a lot of people do love that kind of stuff. Anyway, because my personal favorite interpretations of backrooms fell off over time, I kind of stopped following backrooms content until the movie came out, where my entire timeline was now all about backrooms. So that made me curious, what kind of backrooms video games are out there, and more importantly, are they good? Are they scary? And do I get to kiss any clowns? Up first is Escape the Backrooms, and up front, this game is really, really good. I just said that I'm not huge on the whole backrooms levels idea, but I think this game might have changed my mind on that. Anyway, this game is pretty simple. You play as an unnamed backrooms explorer, and you need to make your way deeper and deeper into the unknown to try to find your way out. Each level has something new for you to do, new settings, new puzzles, and usually new entities as well. The only constant is your own sanity, which you replenish by drinking almond water. Now, what the fuck is almond water? I don't know, I really wanted to find out though, but the only manufacturer of almond water in the entire world was sold out on Amazon. So I went to Whole Foods. No almond water, but I did have my own encounter with an entity there. This has actually happened to me twice. Basically, I was looking around the aisles for almond water, and just so happened to cross paths with this dude who was clearly geeked a couple times. I guess he thought I was like a security guard or a secret shopper or something, because he had to run out to his car to grab his ID because he was buying beer, and he was like, I'm just going to my car. Like, to me, all frantic. And I was like, alright. Then he said it to me again as he like gingerly stepped past me and made sure to point out the cart that he was leaving inside and not that he was stealing anything. Weird experience. The other time it happened to me, I was just walking down the street to a 7-Eleven, and this homeless dude was like, "Oh shit, man, I thought you were armed security." And I was like, "Ha ha ha." Downtown Denver basically is the Backrooms, dude. Anyway, I also went to Sprouts and Natural Grocers, and no almond water. I think that all the almond water in the world might have actually fallen into the Backrooms. Anyway, there are other items which help you out with stamina, movement speed, and then things like flashlights. I do think this game looks good, even if it is kind of buggy. The most common bug for me being that when I was on controller, it would just have my guy spamming the like activate or interact button. So like I would just be strobing the flashlight or just chug almond water whenever I had it equipped, which was very annoying but not necessarily game breaking. Some of the enemy detection is also off, but in general I think this game is very well made. That's all kind of uninteresting though, so let's go level by level and talk about this game because I actually really did not like it for probably the first 2 or 3 hours I played it. You start at level 0 and it is the back rooms that we all know and love. Buzzing fluorescent lights, yellowed wallpaper, strange office furniture in unexplainable places. You know, the back rooms, bro. The entity on this level is the bacteria, which I assume you know what that is if you're watching this video, because it's probably the most famous backrooms monster. It's kind of like a wireframe that shambles around chasing you if it sees you. When the movie first came out, I was kind of shocked that they didn't have the bacteria in the movie, but now playing the game, I'm like, yeah, I guess it's really not that scary. It's one of those things where it would be really scary if you saw it in real life, but on a screen, it kind of just looks weird. Anyway, my biggest issue with this game is that the next like 4 levels after level 0 are easily the worst in the entire game, which is a bad move. Like, why would you front load the game with the bad levels? I genuinely almost stopped with the game like 3 hours in because of one of these in particular. After level 0 is level 1, which is a giant parking garage. I actually think the setting of this level works well because parking garages are actually kind of scary. Like, I always pick up the pace when I'm walking through a parking garage alone, even though the only scary experience I've ever had in one was cutting a turn too close and scratching the fuck out of my car. Level 0 introduces the Skin Stealer, which first appears as another hazmat guy, which is what you are. Now, of course, this works a lot better if you play with other people, but it still got to me the first time. They then transform into this thing to kill you and presumably wear your skin around to find more prey.
Fuck!
You then enter the hub, which has no entities, almost like a highway tunnel. You can find the setup of MEG, or Major Explorer Group here, which are who sent you in. You can find an exit to the hub in almost all of the other levels, which is useful if you want to get all the endings of the game. Anyway, you then go back to level 1 to a new parking garage that's pitch black with these enemies called Smilers in it. They can't stand the light, so you need to move while the lights are on, which is sometimes an insanely tight window. Like, sometimes you're just not going to make it, buddy. This game does not discourage dying at all. In fact, it feels like you're meant to die a few times each level so that you figure out what you're doing wrong and can fix it. Anyway, Smilers are easily the most persistently annoying enemy in the entire game. Anytime a level has Smilers on it, you just know that it's gonna suck. Level 2 also has a Smiler which chases you down this endless hallway of pipes until you reach a doorway to escape. Now we're on to the levels that really suck. Level 3 is an electrical station, and now it's time for me to rant about why I don't like the next few levels. So what do we consider to be a liminal space? Google says the liminal spaces are the places in between, characterized by ambiguity. Ambiguity is the big thing there. A liminal space is supposed to be somewhere that fundamentally doesn't make sense to exist, despite containing only familiar objects. Like the Backrooms is just an office building, right? And yet it has this indescribable layout and feeling to it, such that you know this couldn't function as an actual office building. The uneasiness and horror comes from asking yourself, well, if it's not an office building, then what is it? The parking garage doesn't quite fit the bill as easily, but I think it could. Imagine you're driving out in the middle of nowhere, like you're in Nevada driving through the desert or something, and you find a parking garage on the side of the road. Nothing around it. No stadium, no restaurants, no housing, no casino, nothing. And yet when you go inside, it's filled with cars. Whose cars are these, and why did so many people park here? You know what doesn't fit the bill at all is an electrical station, or a boiler room, or any of the other industrial settings this game throws at you in the next couple levels. It's just so uninteresting compared to what comes after, and it doesn't help that some of these levels also just suck to play. Anyway, I will say this, Electrical Station does have one of my favorite entities in the entire game, the Hound.
What in the air? That thing is fucking hideous. God damn, what the fuck is that?
These things just look insane, and the sound they make is so gut-wrenching. It sounds like a dog, but it also sounds like a human, and you really can't tell whether it's an actual dog barking or a person doing a really good dog impression. Their appearance fits that bill very well. The body of the dog with the head of a human-like being. Hounds are really good. All you have to do to get rid of them, though, is shine a flashlight at their eyes. Besides them, Electrical Station is just a massive maze where you have to find and flip breakers to unlock the way. It sucks. Level 4 is actually okay. You end up in this office building, but unlike the Backrooms, this one actually looks like a functional office building. It's pouring rain outside, which gives this level kind of a cool vibe to it. The only entities are these window guys who will kill you if you get too close, but besides them, you have to do this puzzle where you avoid 3 cameras in order to unlock the exit. Level 5 starts off really good. You start in this hotel, which is very pretty, but not very scary or liminal. Still pretty though. You have to avoid hounds and skin stealers until you eventually get to the boiler room in the basement, and brother, this level was maybe one of the worst things I've ever played. So many or even most of the levels in this game are mazes, but this particular maze is just so fucking long and so boring. So you're given a thermometer which shows you when these giant death moths are near, and if you don't crouch in like a 10-foot radius of a death moth, they grab you and drag you to their nest to be eaten. So you creep around this boring ass gray maze, which is fucking gigantic by the way, until you eventually find the exit. I'm understating how long this took me. I was on this one for like 2 hours. At one point, I forgot to enable private mode, so some random dude joined me, and I thought I was saved. I was certain this guy would be able to find the way out, but no, he couldn't, and instead he kept getting killed until he eventually left. Thanks, bro.
I fucking did it! I fucking did it! Holy shit! Holy fucking shit! Oh my god, dude. Holy fuck me. God damn, imagine. Okay. Oh my god. I almost gave up on this fucking video game. I was there. I was fucking ready.
What makes this level worse is that this level exits into the pipe wall where you run from a smiler again until you end up back in the electrical station. What the fuck?
Oh. No, we're back here? I'm desperately asking for some new content in this video game. I'm desperate for it. Please get me out of these industrial rooms and show me cool shit again. I do not like them. I've literally been here before. Like, what is happening? This is where the fuse boxes were. What are we doing? Dude, what are we doing? I know none of this leads anywhere. I'm so happy. So happy to get the fuck out of there.
I genuinely was about to quit at this point, especially when I realized that to get to the next level, I had to go back through all of the levels I had just done. Now the nice thing is, the levels stay done in this game, so I didn't have to do them all again except for the office one with the cameras. But thank God I didn't have to do the maze again. So you end up in the hallway again. However, the level that this hallway leads to is probably one of the best in the game, and it really only gets better after this one. So despite how horrible I think that boiler room was and how uninteresting the levels before it were, you gotta stick with it because this game gets really good after this point. The next level is called Level Fun, and it is such a breath of fresh air compared to everything that came prior. Level Fun brings back the idea of liminal horror by setting you in this kid's party room filled with tables, balloons, and that one carpet they always had in these kind of rooms.
I see. Oh. Bam.
There's this nice little tune playing the entire time you're in Level Fun, but not far in you meet the entity of this level and probably my favorite in the game. Partygoers. Massive yellow things with a gaping, drooling mouth and one single red balloon in their hand. They actually kind of look like one of those smiley face balloons. It's a really good design. Partygoers just stand there bopping their knees along to the song until they see you, at which point every single partygoer will let out this shriek and begin to chase you until you hide under a table. It's terrifying the first time this happens to you, but eventually you learn that by triggering them, they change positions, allowing you to get past them in many cases. This level has you sneaking around them from table to table, trying to puzzle out how you can get the partygoers to break line of sight and let you pass them without dying. This level is just so weird, but weird is exactly what I want out of a Backrooms game. The settings aren't supposed to make sense, and the entities are supposed to be strange and unexplainable. Like, what are the partygoers doing here besides literally just standing around and enjoying themselves? The answer is probably nothing. There's a reason these are called entities rather than like animals or residents. We don't understand why they, or the giant party room they inhabit, even exist, it just does. Then immediately after you get my personal favorite Backrooms level, although there's actually a second cooler one later. I fucking love the pool rooms. I know I said at the top that I didn't like Backrooms levels, which isn't really true anymore, but even when I was a hater, I loved the idea of the pool rooms. Pools in general have such an interesting vibe to them, and I think extending that into this massive complex of white tile and lazy rivers is one of the best ideas anyone has ever had with the Backrooms. The pool rooms are so cool to me. Like I said, there's a second pool rooms level that is even cooler later on. Now, if you've never been in an empty pool before, which I would guess most people haven't, it's actually a very relaxing, but at the same time, slightly creepy atmosphere. Once the pool features like the slides and the jets are off, you just have the quiet sound of water lapping against the edges of the pool to keep you company. I think for many people, the pool rooms work so well probably because you've never been in an environment like that before. Like you've never been in a pool that wasn't super loud with the sounds of splashing water and screaming kids all around you. So it is this strange and unfamiliar environment, although it's made up of an environment that almost everyone has been in before. Although I guess most people probably also haven't been in a giant pool complex before, which unfortunately I haven't either. But there aren't any entities in the pool rooms level, which actually makes them safer than normal pool locker rooms. A common entity you'll encounter in pool locker rooms is the naked old man standing around, like combing his hair butt ass naked for some reason. Seriously, what the fuck is going on there? I used to work at a rec center with a pool for like 4 years, which is how I've been alone inside a pool that was turned off. Anyway, I can say definitively the old men when I was a little kid and old men now today are still standing around naked in locker rooms. We actually used to have summer camps at the rec center, and sometimes they would just leave the locker rooms propped open so they can make sure the kids weren't up to any mischief in there. One time, this old dude come up to me at the front desk and he's like, "Hey, is there any way we can shut those doors? I'm standing there naked in front of the mirror shaving, and people from the hallway can see me." Like, I think there's an easier solution there, buddy. Don't shave your fucking gooch in the rec center full of little kids. Anyway, I'm a big pool rooms fan. A space like the pool rooms would probably never exist in real life because it would be like drowned kids central, but I would kill to visit the pool rooms. The next one is called Level Exclamation Mark, and it has you running from a shitload of partygoers and a smiler in the halls of a red lit hospital. As you run, the doors fly open and stretchers try to block you. It's kind of fun. After that, you get another really good level, The End. The End is a library, and it's also not actually the end of the game. Your goal in the library is to find 24 VHS tapes scattered around the shelves, but you'll very quickly notice that you're not alone in this library. That thing is called the Scratcher, and despite its big bug eyes, it can't actually see you very well, but it can definitely hear you. So you spend this level creeping around the library, taking the tapes that you can until... You're fucking me. What the? Oh my fucking god, dude. I don't know what happened there, but... The lights go out, and now you can't see the Scratcher either, only hear him, which kind of puts you two on equal footing. It's really creepy and fun, and the next level is even better. Level 94 is a massive grassy plain filled with quaint little houses. I actually would really like to live here, except whenever night comes, these things come out to kill anyone who's not inside their house, lights off, tucked into bed. What you have to do here is make your way to the castle in the distance via these vans. However, if you get caught out during the night, the animations will kill you. I think a big part of my enjoyment of this level is just the way it looks. It looks almost like a painting or something. Like, you wouldn't believe this landscape is real, but if you saw it rendered on a painting, you'd be like, wow, I'd love to go there. You know what I mean? Once you reach the castle, you end up in a circus, and there's actually kind of a boss fight here. He's called the Animation King, and he's really just a big fat clown who tries to kill you with a hammer. He'll never attack you while you see him, though, which I thought was going to be like a Weeping Angels type situation, where if you just keep an eye on him, he can't get you, but no. Rather, he just disappears when you do see him, and you have to frantically search around the dark circus to find him again before he reaches you. It's fun. After that is a level called Lights Out, which takes place in some kind of old abandoned building. It's really the second half of this one where it gets fun. You have a new entity here called Wretches, these skinless humanoids who stalk the hallways looking for you. The problem for them is that the latter half of the level is pitch black, so as long as you stay quiet and out of their way, they won't be able to kill you. However, what you can't do is use a flashlight, because the Wretches do indeed have functional eyes, as we'll see later. So what you get instead is a LiDAR scanner, which shoots glowing dots out when you fire. This is actually one of the cooler parts of the game, I think. The way the dots create a 3D space out of a completely pitch black environment is really fun to look at, but besides that, it's just another maze. After that is Level 7, Thalassophobia, which has you navigate a boat across foggy waters in search of a lighthouse. It's cool, no complaints. I do think it's fun how insane the levels are now, though. Like, compare Level 0, which is the back rooms, and then the parking garages and the hotels that followed it. All of those could feasibly be inside of the same complex, right? But once you get to level 94, and this one, it becomes very clear that the Backrooms defies all explanation. I actually will say it makes it more impactful for the levels like this to be so deep into the game. Even though most of the first levels are very different from one another, you still end up building a certain expectation of what is to come. That being a strange interior space like a hotel, office, industrial center, whatever. Then you hit level 94 and you're like, holy shit, genuinely anything could be waiting for me as I go deeper into this nightmare. There's a giant fish monster in the water on this level, which apparently can kill you, but I only saw it in this scripted section. Then you have level 8, which is like an underwater cave maze with skin stealers and death moths. Kinda boring, but then you're suddenly back in the familiar. Familiar meaning the backrooms themselves, which at this point is kind of an anchor for your own sanity. Like you know where you started this adventure, surely now that we're back we must be getting close to the end. Not really, buddy. You spend some time in this new kind of darker backrooms filled with new bacteria variants until ending up in another really cool level. Level 9 is the darkened suburbs, and very quickly you'll find this thing patrolling the streets. It's called the Neighborhood Watch, and it really won't bother you unless it catches you out in the street. Your goal here is to get into 3 houses and activate 3 computer terminals to allow you into this one central house. The first one is pretty normal, but the next 2 have wretches inside, but this time they can see you. They're actually very intelligent for backrooms monsters. Like if you leave doors open, I'm pretty sure they'll see that and investigate, so if you leave a trail of doors leading to where you are, they're gonna find you. Inside the house is a really fun puzzle where you have to go into this pretty small little office section and find 4 bottles of concentrated almond water. You then have to lure the wretch stalking the office halls onto a trap, spray it with the almond juice, then steal a keycard from the now human wretch. Does that have some lore implications? Certainly, but we're leaving him behind, so who cares? Level 10 is another really fun level. It's very horror movie-like. You find yourself among endless cornfields, but if you look behind you, quickly you realize that you're not alone here.
Oh my.
That thing is called a faceling, and it's almost like it's mocking you with its movements. Like it knows there's nothing you can do to stop it, but it wants to play with you before killing you. You have to avoid multiple of these things, including one with a chainsaw to get to level 3999, which is a massive rundown arcade. Apparently you can get like a secret ending on that level, but I didn't do that, so let's move on to level 0.2, which has this very obviously marked danger section, which I ignored, and look what happened to me.
Oh.
This level is really annoying, but in kind of a cool way. On the elevator ride down, you hear this speech.
Hello, and welcome to the MEG civilization. Our goal with this project is to create a safe and habitable living space for everyone. With private one-bedroom studios and advanced safety devices, you are sure to stay safe within the walls of this civilization. However, due to the nature of our environment, there are a few safety tips you should always follow to prevent unwanted dangers. The first tip is to always stay aware of no-clipping, which is when someone may fall through a floor into a different, often more dangerous level.
Which is telling you that in order to make it past that giant monster, the Bone Thief, you need to use these designated no-clip zones to find and open any doors which only open in the red rooms, which are the back rooms with red lights. There's like endless smilers down here, which makes it kind of annoying, but I really do like the concept. The lore implications of that elevator speech are also pretty dark. Meg was apparently trying to get people to move into the back rooms and pay them rent, which seems like a horrible idea, but I guess it is infinite free real estate. They marked off the no-clip areas as unsafe, but I've had to guess what happened to the people here. I would guess that the Bone Thief just showed up one day with no warning and killed them all, leaving Meg to just caution off the Bone Thief's lair and go on their way. The next level is creatively called the Snack Rooms, which just has a bunch of food and items for you, which you need because the next level is kind of hellish. Much like the earlier hospital chase, this one has you running from an entity called a clump. Basically a squirming ball of hands and mouths chasing you through the halls of a hotel. The only thing is, the clump is faster than you slightly, so you have to really perfect the route to escape this thing in time. It's really fun and cool at first because of the banger music that plays, but it gets kind of old when you get caught on a door and die for like the 30th time. Next up is level 188, an apartment complex, which is also a good candidate for a horror game. I've toured a lot of apartment complexes in my day, and let me tell you, buddy, I would not want to see another person in some of those hallways. In this case, it's even worse because stalking the hallways is a giant four-legged spider creature called Arania membri. Just like actual spiders, it's freakishly fast, but it can't open any doors, which there are many of in an apartment complex. So what you do is you find 3 rolling TVs, like the ones they used to bring out in elementary school on snowy days, and set those up in front of 3 windows, which for some reason unlocks the way. Next up is level 37.2 called the Dark Pool Rooms. Easily my favorite level in the game. Holy shit, man, this level is so cool. So unlike the original pool rooms, this one has water slides. Bro, I can't tell you how much I wish I was there right now. It also has some fun boat sections where you have to raise the water level to keep going, and these really interesting dark sections where you have to find valves to turn while avoiding patrolling clumps. These are cool because it's almost like you're in the inner workings of a water park ride that's shut down, like there's decorations in some of the rooms and a lazy river that takes you all the way through. I feel like at this point I've gushed enough about the pool room, so instead let me gush on level Fun Plus, which rather than being a giant party room, it's a giant party complex. Also, the partygoers move now. This level makes you listen to this fucking song the entire time, which really started getting to me after a while. There are some really cool sections like bowling alleys, dark hallways where you can only use a glow stick to guide you, and some fun puzzles along the way. Like one where you have to search a massive party room filled with roaming entities, popping balloons because one of them contains the key you need to continue. There is one very, very stupid part though. There's one section with like ball pits and bounce houses, fun stuff for kids. Except randomly, like every 10 to 15 seconds, partygoers will swarm out of a door to kill you. Your goal is to destroy these things called party hosts, but you have to do so while making sure you're not too far from a table at any time for when the partygoers are released. Anyway, we're almost done now, so bear with me. Level 52 introduces the party pooper, who are seemingly humans, who guide you straight to the exit of the level. This level is an elementary school and it's done really well. I say that because the layout of this place is completely nonsensical. But when you think about it, when you were in like 2nd grade, could you have navigated your way around your school? You probably know the way to the lunchroom and back to your classroom, but imagine being dropped in a random hallway as like an 8-year-old and having to try to find your way out. Very creepy idea. Now, I've been done with high school for like 5 years now, but sometimes I still have dreams about high school. Specifically, I've had multiple where I'm in a high school that is certainly not the one I actually went to, but I can't find my classes, and no matter what I do, the school just seems to change around me so that I can never get to where I need to go in time. This level reminds me of that. It's really good. Finally, we're at the end. Level 55.1 has you taking an elevator to take pictures of various anomalous objects on the 3 levels below you. It starts off pretty benign, like you take a picture of out-of-place objects or graffiti, but eventually you have to take a picture of the bacteria, which is clearly an issue because the bacteria attacks you on sight. The third has you being constantly harassed by smilers while trying to take a picture of a skin stealer, which I did by literally snapping a picture the moment before the skin stealer killed me. And that's it. With that, we finally get to escape the backrooms. Oh my god. Oh fuck. I mean, we escaped the backrooms. Now he's just gonna run me over? Damn, dude, that fucking sucks. Imagine going through all that just for the exit you wanted so badly to drop you 3 miles into the air. Anyway, that was Escape the Backrooms. I think this game has some very rough spots in it, mainly like the whole first 3 hours of it. But if you can stick through that and some of the worst puzzles later on, I think this game is genuinely an amazing experience. It really does capture that feeling of venturing into the unknown and unexplainable, every level being something new and you never truly feel like you have a grasp on the game or what's coming next. I think this single game made me much more of a fan of the Backrooms than I was before, but there is a lot of video left, so we'll see what happens. Next up is Backrooms Escape Together, which is a game that people might like to call Friend Slop, although the other one is also kind of that. Friend Slop is literally just like shorter, cheap games that you play for a couple hours with your friends and then never pick up again. Phasmophobia kind of invented this genre, but now you have shit like Repo, Lethal Company, even games outside of horror like Peak and that new Sculpture one. I don't really get the hate behind this genre, but anyway. The big difference between Escape Together and Escape is that first of all, Together is much shorter, although it is in early access, so it'll probably get bigger with time, and that Together's levels are all procedurally generated. Now up front, I want to say it's kind of tough for me to decide which one I like better. Escape is much longer and has some really, really cool levels that Together doesn't even get close to, but then again, Together might add those later. I do think you lose something with the procedural generation though. Like, yes, it does add some level of replayability to each level, but it also makes the game feel more like it was just made as friend slop, in comparison to Escape, which felt like it was made by a real Backrooms fanatic. The two share a lot of levels though, and I think they go back and forth on who did which level better. In general, Together is much scarier than Escape was. Like, this game had me shivering my timbers at certain points. But I think Escape captures the unnerving nature of the Backrooms a little better. Let's get into it. So I think I forgot to mention this, but in Escape, almost anytime you started a level, there'd be a note that gave you some kind of idea of what you need to do on that level. This game just gives you straight objectives, and the first one is to gather some VHS tapes across level 0, which is the Backrooms. One consequence of every level being procedurally generated is that some of them are kinda lame, level 0 falling firmly into that category for me. Like, I think it's not a great Backrooms level because it's very wide open. Like, the Backrooms is supposed to feel pretty claustrophobic, but this level does not. What it does do well, though, is introduce the bacteria.
What the fuck? My... Holy shit!
The lights go red and you hear it screaming in the distance, which is actually pretty fucking scary even if you know what's coming like I did. Anyway, you have a second task alongside the VHS tapes. Capture footage of things. For one player, it's just these pitfalls, but for more players, you have to get footage of the bacteria and shit. A lot like the last level of Escape. Next up is level 1, which is the parking garage again, except this time, rather than a skin stealer and smilers, you get these guys.
Golly.
Brother, what the hell is that? It's like a naked half-birdman that only chases you in the dark. It's genuinely pretty terrifying dealing with these things, much scarier than the smilers were from Escape. You then have the electrical station again, and oh boy, but I will say it's done a little better this time around. Together looks much better than Escape did in general. I mean, Escape looked fine, but it looks kind of good in like a Gmod type of way. Together is much more realistic looking, and the sound design is done really well. It really puts you on edge. This one is pretty good actually. You get chased by a clump, which just like in Escape, are a little too fast to run from. What you have to do is block it off with fuses that you take and place indoors strategically, eventually making your way through the station. After that is Pipe Dreams again, which is also done better this time around. Pipe Dreams in Escape was just getting chased by a smiler, but this time you have to find 3 valves to turn while a blind entity called a Scratcher stalks you around the hallways looking for you. We've all played horror games before, so of course turning the valve alerts the entity, but it's pretty easy to avoid as long as you just crouch and don't let it physically touch you. After that is the abandoned office building, which I don't think is as cool in this one. So before I say this, just know that every single level in both of these games is a maze of some sort. But I think the consequence of procedural generating all these mazes in Together is that none of them are particularly interesting, which is best described by the office building. Your goal is to find 4 color-coded TVs, then enter a code to unlock a door, cutting the power to the office and ending up in the lights out level. This is the equivalent of the LiDAR level from Escape, and I think it's done a little better here as well. So you still have to map out the terrain in a pitch black environment using only little dots, but this time there's an extremely slow entity following you the entire time. If you're not actively scanning, then you'll have no idea it's there because the dots won't update until you actually scan the room again. It ends up giving you some really intense moments where you very nearly walked right into the collector, which is the entity, but decided to scan at the perfect moment to notice him there. Your scanner also has a limited amount of memory this time, so you can't just map out the entire level like you could with Escapes. Honestly, I'm not too sure about that change. It took me a while to figure out what exactly I was supposed to be doing on this level, which is finding these switches, which led to a lot of frustration for me because I thought I was just supposed to find an exit, but how could I know if I had been somewhere before when the dots expire after a while? But then you realize all you have to do is really follow these blue lines around, and the blue lines go up to the ceiling, which is why they suddenly stop sometimes, and it suddenly became a lot easier. I think this lights out is better simply because of the monster. The wretch in Escape was basically a non-issue because you always knew where it was due to having a mini-map on your LiDAR gun, whereas this fucking guy could be 2 feet away from you at any time and you'd never know unless you scan again. After that is level 7, or the pool rooms. I don't think I need to repeat how I feel about the pool rooms. I fucking love it. I would put this level in between escapes pool levels, like it's better than the first, but not better than the second. After that is level exclamation, which last time I was being chased by a clump, this time it's a scratcher. Exact same situation here, it's really fun the first couple times until you die like 10 times due to stupid shit. In this case, the stupid shit is that the chases are interrupted by sections of you shutting the scratcher out and searching for a keycard, which could be on any number of shelves in this fucking massive morgue. And of course, since it's procedural, every time you die, the location is different, so it really just feels like luck whether you find it before the scratcher breaks in or not. After that is this game's version of level fun, which is very, very well done again. First of all, I love that the carpets are those like city mats you had when you were a kid where you could like drive cars around on the roads and shit. It really does capture the strangeness that you want from a Backrooms game to be trapped in a giant complex filled with only that carpet. I don't know if I'd say it's better than level fun from Escape, they're very different. This one only has one partygoer and he doesn't just stand around bobbing his knees as I would have wanted, rather he wanders around in a maze of rooms turning hostile when the lights go out. The actual level itself though is pretty good. You have to earn 1,500 tickets to escape, which I assume is way more in multiplayer. And the way you do that is by playing like death games, basically. Like you have to go into the partygoer maze, do parkour, or play red light, green light. It's very fun as a video game, but in no way does it evoke the same feelings as Level Fun did in Escape. Level Fun was off-putting exactly because there was this cheery music and the partygoers seemed very subdued, of course, until you let them see you. The second Level Fun was a little more creepy with that fuck-ass song, but this one isn't creepy at all. It's actually pretty fun, as the name would imply. Anyway, final level is in a similar vein. This time you're in a massive supermarket and you have to meet a quota. However, if any of the faceless store staff see you grab an item, they'll chase you and try to kill you. This screen shows you which items are most valuable and which will actually subtract from your total quota, but in general you just want to grab whatever you want as long as it's not the subtraction one. I thought this level was really, really fun, but at this point it's kind of clear what this game is going for. Like, the Backrooms is really just a backdrop here to put you into slightly strange settings and make you play weird little mini games with your friends, which would be great if you were playing with those friends and like clip farming or whatever, but as a loser who makes YouTube videos, it kind of just makes you go, eh. It's worth noting that Level Fun and Supermarket were added after the other 10, so I think the dev might have just lost the plot a little bit and tried to lean more into that friend slop genre. Those two levels are very fun, but they're also nothing like what you would want from a game about exploring the Backrooms, or at least nothing like what I would want. Maybe I'm in the wrong here, maybe people do like the idea of the Backrooms being a series of fun and dangerous mini-games you have to play, like fucking Squid Game or something, but I think it works better when you're almost like an outsider to the strange ways this world works. Like, for example, in Escape, level 94 has that whole curfew or the animations kill you thing, which was not put there for you, the player. That rule already existed despite you finding no one else living on that level. It makes you wonder, who was living in those houses, why was there a curfew, or did the animations kill all of them? The answer is that you'll never know. The Backrooms just are as they are, and you have to adapt yourself to them in order to survive. With this one, it's just like, I don't like the idea of the Backrooms giving you goals to escape. Like, there's some entity that says, you need to spend X amount of time playing games on Level Fun before I open the door for you, or the same thing with the supermarket. Anyway, that's all there is to Escape the Backrooms together. It's very short and still in early access, but I will say that it is a very fun video game to play. Like, I'd play this again if someone invited me to, but I do think that if you want a good liminal horror experience, you can find better elsewhere. Up next is Inside the Backrooms, which is of course another multiplayer Backrooms Explorer game. I mean, what else would it be? Now up front, I have to apologize to the developers of Inside the Backrooms because for being made by like one person, it is pretty impressive. But man, I hated this shit so much, and like I don't think you can place all of the blame for that on the game itself. In general, I'm not a huge fan of the genre that all of these games have fallen into, which is like puzzle exploration games. First of all, I'm horrible at exploration in video games and honestly real life too. Like, I'd be using my GPS to get anywhere. But this game just has the most needlessly complex levels and puzzles in it, while also not being that fun to play. The first is just the Backrooms, and what is kind of cool about it is they added like a secret second exit for the Backrooms, which is where they put in new content. It's actually the first exit I found. It leads to the pool rooms and then to a train station, and then nothing after that. Exit number 1 actually leads to the rest of the game. But level 0 and pool rooms are fine, with the bacteria being on level 0. Pool rooms is just as good as it usually is, but train station is actually very creepy and unique. The entity here will fuck with you, poking its head around corners and lurking in darkness for the first half of the level, until eventually becoming active halfway through. The first half has you reconnecting these power stations in a pretty simple but fun little puzzle. Then you get a picture strip and have to find the items pictured, note down how many times the light on them blinks, then enter that into this machine. How I think the monster works is that if you catch him staring at you and quickly turn away, he will leave, but if you don't, he'll chase you and will almost certainly kill you. This is very important. You have 10 lives in this game, so you get 10 tries to complete each level before you lose all of your progress and have to restart. Anyway, there is nothing after train station. It doesn't like connect back to the main pathway or anything. So if you want to continue, you have to go back to the main menu and restart back at level 0. Anyway, it's literally the second level of the game that broke me and made me quit. Dark Rooms is a maze of claustrophobic, dimly lit hallways. I mean, hell yeah, bro, this is what Backrooms is all about. Except this level is so insanely ass, I can't believe it. And it's all because of one entity. This level has 3 entities on it. Hounds, which work similar to how they did in Escape, except now you just need to do a staring contest with them until you can get them to go away. And Smilers, who will just kind of stand there, eventually attacking you if you don't leave in time. The third is the bacteria, and that fucking thing just makes this level so insufferable. So on level 0, the way you escape bacteria once it sees you is by hiding in a locker. Pretty standard. That level was very open and there were lockers scattered around the edges of the room. The bacteria in this game is very fast, much faster than you are, but generally in that level, as long as you remembered where the lockers are, the room was big enough that you almost always had time to reach one before the bacteria got to you. That is not the case at all in Dark Rooms. Now, to be fair, this game does telegraph when bacteria is near by having the lights turn red, but that's not very fucking helpful when the lockers are scattered around this dark-ass maze and you just aggro the bacteria like 5 feet away from it. It is so hard to get away from that thing. Like, this level feels like you're playing fucking Dead by Daylight or something. You also don't die in one hit from the enemy, so what happens is bacteria or hound will just maul you, stand around for a minute aura farming, and then start chasing you again. And that's where this whole idea of 10 lives comes into play. It very much feels like you're expected to die many times in the course of playing this game, which is why you have so many lives. In the case of Dark Rooms, what you have to do to beat the level is meticulously search like every single square inch of that place to find all of these different items you need for all of these different puzzles, all the while 3 separate entities harass you. It is just so damn annoying, but I was willing to stick with it until I got stuck trying to get into a locker and could no longer move. Like, my only option was to restart the level, which I was not doing. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Okay, there we go. No, I'm still fucking stuck. Oh boy. Okay, that's it. Sorry. I can forgive bugginess in indie games, like I didn't even mention how fucked the controller support for this game is, but I wasn't willing to restart that shit-ass level again to see what comes after. Sorry. Anyway, I didn't really give that one a fair shake, but like, a man can only handle so much puzzle solving in a maze, you know? Anyway, now we're going off Steam for the world of itch.io. Backrooms.exe is really nothing like any of the games we've talked about so far. It's kind of like an art project loosely based on the idea of the Backrooms, but it's cool and I wanted to call it out. So the second you load this game up, you'll probably be thinking, holy fuck my eyes, and yes, this game is very, very bright, like non-stop neon lights assaulting your retinas. I think on one hand it makes the game kind of hard to play, but it also contributes to what this game is going for pretty well. So what Backrooms.exe is just infinitely generated neon Backrooms levels with just as weird generated entities on those levels for you to find. So you just wander around aimlessly taking in this strange, impossible to understand world that you've been placed into. It's a cool idea, I like it, and it's free, so as long as you don't mind giving yourself degenerative eye disease, I would check it out. What I think is cool about this game in particular is that unlike everything else we've played, it actually is a new and original interpretation of the original idea of the Backrooms. And that's not a dig on the other games, they're just adapting a very well-known internet horror, like, universe. But it's always cool to see someone go back to that original Backrooms idea and put a new spin on it. Now this is a stupid side note, but I remember when that creepypasta Sonic.exe first came out and every kid, well not every kid, but just every weird kid like me and my elementary school friends were like, suddenly terrified of the file extension .exe. Like, holy shit bro, did I just say Minecraft.exe? It must be haunted! But obviously .exe is just a fucking executable, which basically every Windows application will have one of. but it's still fun to see that people use name.exe to make something sound creepy. Last up is Backrooms by Esseverse or just Backrooms, which just so happens to also have a backrooms.exe file that you have to click on to run the game. Coincidence? I don't think so, buddy. Anyway, this game came out in 2021, which means it was probably one of the earlier pieces of Backrooms content made, and you can see that in how the title card directly references the fact that this shit came from a 4chan post. I like to keep the humble origins of Backrooms in mind, especially as we teeter on the brink of a Backrooms cinematic universe after how popular that movie was. But anyway, it's very clear how early this game was. There's none of the familiar Backrooms entities everyone knows today. In fact, I don't know what the fuck is actually attacking you in this game. This game is actually kind of insane, like just in general. It feels like playing a haunted house or something. Like, you know how you go to a haunted house and it's just like scary shit everywhere? Like constant actors making you go, ugh, and like scary objects making you go, oh. But like it all happens so fast you have no ability to process what you're seeing, so you just keep shuffling through the haunted house. That's basically this game. At no point did I have any idea of what was happening to me, nor did I know what was attacking me, or how it killed me the times that it did. I also just kind of stumbled upon the exit and beat the game with no idea of how I got there, or if I played the game again, no idea how to get back. So to sum up how this game works, you have this eye icon on the bottom of the screen which shows you when something is attacking you. That's also the only time you get to run, so it's very clear when something is happening to you, but again, you can't ever really tell what is happening to you. I kind of like this one though, the weird guitar music in the background is just odd. This really does feel like someone just saw the original 4chan post and was like, fuck it, I can make a game based off that. Anyway, let's wrap up. Are there good Backrooms games? Obviously, yes there are. In fact, I think most of the ones I played in this video are good in some way. However, I will say that it depends heavily on what exactly you want out of a Backrooms video game. In case you didn't notice, Escape the Backrooms made up the vast majority of this video, which is for a couple reasons. One is that it is the longest of the games, so of course it will, but two is because that game is sick as fuck and almost exactly what I personally would have wanted out of a Backrooms game. It really captures that experience of diving into an unknown and unknowable realm, things only getting stranger the deeper you dive. Comparing that to Backrooms Escape Together, which is more of a traditional horror game. But you know what, man? That shit is fucking scary. It succeeds in this mission of placing you into terrifying scenarios. You can probably guess that I don't have much to say about Inside the Backrooms. I mean, if you like crazy complex puzzles, then play that one. But then you have Backrooms.exe and Backrooms, which are just two people's very different interpretations of the original source material. Anyway, I'm now a Backrooms truther. I think I understand the big fans of the Backrooms a lot more now. But what I don't understand is why these damn indie games always make my OBS shit the bed so hard. Like, I'd be playing AAA titles and recording at the same time at 1440p, but Backrooms by Esseverse brings OBS to its knees. Thank you all so much for watching.